me, oh yeah. Make an old man proud of you. Forget about the tears on the level. See me eye to eye. Stand up like a man.
Hey everybody, welcome to another MoGraph podcast. I'm your host, Matt Milstead. Joining me this week, Mr. Jon Jags Nee.
Hello, everyone.
I think I scaled up your thing a little bit wrong. I need to scale it down. We'll do that live. We'll do it live. But in the meantime, want to give a shout out and a thanks to our universal sponsor, Otoy. You know them, you love them. They're the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. With Octane, you can create super photorealistic renders incredibly fast. And for those renders that need a little extra push of power, Render Network has you covered. The Render Network allows you to render your Octane, Redshift, and Blender Cycles frames in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost of other cloud rendering services. And I'm still waiting to hear back on if they're continuing the Render Royale competition. As soon as I know that, I will let y'all know. But make sure and give Otoy a shout out and thank them for sponsoring the podcast and all things MoGraph. So yeah, here we are, Jags. I'm gonna scale you down because we're gonna do this live. It's gonna be good. Everyone's gonna love it.
I can also
everyone really loves when I mess everything up on the and I'm having to do all the resizing live. I know everyone loves it. I was doing it last week like crazy on live with Dave because he was sharing his screen and stuff like that. There we go. You're like, there's too much headroom. There's too much headroom. Bring down the headroom, right? Yeah, no, maybe.
So that's not entirely your fault. I did set my camera
see?
to APS-C mode. I was at 24, and then I popped it to APS-C, so it's a 35 millimeter lens.
There we go.
Instead.
Now it looks good. It looks good now.
Yeah. There we go. Camera stuff.
Screw it. We'll do it live. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jags, how are you, man? It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been out of the motion design industry for a little bit of a year.
Dude, me and you both. It's like, we've just been I think, cuz you started working at Blizzard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started working at ABC probably about the same time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When did I started in May?
July.
Okay, yeah, May, July, so about the same time.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's like, it's amazing how like disconnected you can be from like the day-to-day goings on of the motion industry if not being on the Discords every day and hanging out and stuff like that. But yeah.
It's a different community. Like once you're in like a staff position, you're spending your time focusing on bigger projects and also focusing on like the people who are in front of you.
Yeah.
And there's something really surreal about the experience of like looking at other artists across the table in the eye and collaborating with them versus doing everything over Discord.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've really enjoyed, especially like, learning this, going through this whole thing of learning Houdini and stuff like that. I keep on saying I'm really lucky because I sit next to literally across and next to and catty corner to three of the best Houdini artists in the world. So like literally anytime I have a question, I'm like, hey, how do I do this? Or hey, what is this? Or hey, what are lops? And it's like, okay, I get that answer instead of like actually having to Google it and stuff like that. It's super nice,
Mm-hmm.
But the connections with like, just random people showing up or stuff like that, I'm still relatively active. I'm actually been more active in the Slack lately than I have the Discord because it's so much easier just to like send a quick message or something. And that one's much more like message board based than the Discord is. The Discord is more face to face. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel most people treat Discord like a traditional gaming communication tool where everyone's going to hop in and play World of Warcraft or COD or
Yeah.
whatever else, and they're doing that over calls versus Slack is very much a text-based communication tool
Yeah, for sure.
at this point.
For sure. And the Slack is still alive and well, which has been really nice. I do want to give a shout out to Liam. Liam has been really fantastic. He's a moderator over on the MoGraph Slack because I kind of disappeared for a while and went on to Discord and stuff like that, and he's been pretty good at moderating and making sure and keeping it alive. So shout out to him. But if you guys want a invite to the Discord, just send us an email, info@mograph.com. We'll get you in. There's like 2,000 motion designers in there. Not a lot active, It's like people will come in and then they won't communicate or they'll get scared or something. Now we're all people,
Or sometimes they'll hop in and play COD.
Yeah, exactly. How's full-time life?
It is interesting, and the reason why it's been very much an adjustment period is after graduating college in 2018, I went straight into freelance. Or 2019 I graduated, and then literally 8 months later, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So it's just going from videography straight into 3D, working from home, where I could kind of make my own schedule, do whatever I want. It was nice. But I built my own structure. So I'm now aligning with a new structure that I like routine. I thrive in that kind of like predictable environment where we're just constantly making work. But it's a little off my own natural rhythm because it's a typical 9 to 5, and I would typically start my workday at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So whenever I would do freelance with like other studios on the East Coast, they're like, "Oh, you're up. Why are you up so early?" I'm like, "This is just me."
This is just me.
So
that's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, that's me as well. I'm typically one of the first people in at Already Been Chewed. Because I got to get my kids off to school. So it's like I'm up at 6 a.m. I'm the first one up in my house, even though, ABC is super super on what time you come in. It's like between 7 and 10, or something like that.
Okay.
So it's like me and Barton are almost always the first people there. I'm there between 7 and 7:30, but it's nice. It's like I get done with my day a little bit earlier. I get to do whatever. But yeah, I don't know. How's going into an office?
I didn't think I would love it as much as I do. I also will add, I think I'm at one of the best offices that you could ever imagine in the world, especially for my interests.
Yeah.
Playing Blizzard games since I was a child.
Yeah.
Just that level of art and inspiration
Yeah.
you're surrounded by is pretty sweet.
So it's not one of those don't meet your heroes type things. It's actually pretty sweet.
It's magical.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're not a big Blizzard
I'm
gamer,
not,
but
no.
like BlizzCon is the big Blizzard convention that they have every year. And what's really awesome about that experience is that you could walk up to anyone and ask Horde or Alliance or what class do you play, like World of Warcraft questions,
Yeah.
and you're gonna find a friend everywhere. And it's the same kind of environment at Blizzard. So it's just like everyone's a gamer, everyone's passionate about what they do. And I think just being in an office where you're surrounded by like-minded people does make the in-office experience really magical.
Yeah, that's cool. How many people are you working with on a daily basis?
It's a big company.
Yeah,
to
I was
be
gonna
honest.
say.
There's some people are remote, some people are not. I actually can't put a number to it,
That's
but
fine.
there's a lot of people on campus.
Yeah.
I directly work with like maybe a team of 10.
Okay.
But it's again big company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's cool. Are you are you in the office every day?
I try to be.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's mostly hybrid, but
Yeah.
there's people in office every day. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. There's a thing about like even being hybrid or being, remote, like having the opportunity. There's something about going into an office and just like feeling the culture and stuff like that really, for the longest time I was a proponent of like, remote work and stuff like that. And it has its positives, I think, especially like, being able to just throw in a load of laundry or something like that. Or like today I worked from home because Salvation Army was supposed to come pick up a thing and then they didn't, but I was working from home, and I found that like I skipped lunch because like it's so easy to just go downstairs and make a sandwich instead of spending an hour at lunch, and like just continuing to work, especially when you're passionate about what you're working on.
Yeah, I think that's the big key. If you're passionate about what you do,
Yeah.
like where you do it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. How many, I don't know if you can get into the nitty gritty or anything like that, but are you working on like all of the Blizzard stuff, or are you only working on within like one specific IP or something like that?
I can't get into the super details of stuff, but I can say that like I work on a small piece, and I really try and be a member to the team, and that's something that's been very different in my freelance career. Because as a freelancer doing board game commercials and like working direct to client, I was typically like wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And in this situation, I have one hat.
Yeah.
Maybe two here and there.
Yeah.
And so I can't say directly what I'm doing, but it's one of those things where I have direct, very specific goals and expectations with my lead, and then I go ahead and execute that on behalf of their goals, and then it just trickles out to all the other things that are happening for whatever projects we're working on.
Do you have a hard time like letting go of some of the other things because you're so used to being a one-man team,
I do, and it's a lot of it is checking ego.
Yeah.
And like checking like,
Yeah.
is it appropriate for me to do this? And I will say one of the things that I've always kept in mind, that it's really unsavory to have the mindset of that's not my job mentality. I think it's important to be helpful and be useful and open to like putting the work first.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are people on the team where they are more qualified, they have more experience than what I could offer. Like I could do it worse, or we could be patient and let the team shine when we need them to. So
yeah, that was something about joining ABC with me. It was like I felt like at the beginning I felt like I needed to like show that I can be worth it, like, hey, you're bringing me on. I am worth it. I promise. Let me show you all the things I can do, but at a certain point, especially coming from my side where I'm kind of like, my job title is production lead, where I can hop behind the box, but also, trying to help make sure jobs get done and people are working, on their stuff and hitting deadlines and stuff like that. So it's semi-producer role or whatever, whatever, it's wearing a lot of hats, but it's not the hats that I've been used to wearing, and getting used to like saying, no, this is not my strength. Let's have someone else do this who is much stronger and will be able to get that done faster. That's a little bit harder to let go of, Yeah, definitely.
100%. And there are hats that we have, like you and I are probably in similar boats with being across many things, being like having touch cameras, having touch 3D and After Effects. And it's just like, no, this is the hat that I should be wearing the most often.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you can answer this, but are you doing any Unreal in your job?
I cannot speak.
That's fine.
On that.
Totally fine. I mean, I get it, Yeah, I was going to ask because like, you're so big into the Unreal world and stuff like that, That's I was in Unreal all day today. You'd be proud of me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, I love Unreal for all the personal work that I've done on my YouTube channel, and I built my little freelance career for board game commercials on Unreal, because real-time rendering, it's a lot easier to go through revisions with clients when you don't have to wait a day or two.
Yeah.
You can do all those edits real time.
Yeah, for sure.
With your clients. So I love Unreal. I love all the tools that are coming out now, because everything's just getting faster.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because where like good art comes from is iteration, like being able to iterate on that quickly, and Unreal is a good tool for that. So
yeah,
I still love Unreal.
Yeah. We're working on a art piece. It's like an immersive art piece or something, and so we built out this visualizer in C4D and then again in Houdini, and then in After Effects, of course, so that we can kind of see what it's going to look like. But I was like, guys, we really need to, I'm going to do this. So I built out an actual visualizer for the Quest that you can kind of step into. I had recently worked, or years ago, worked with Matt Silverman over at Swordfish. You and I both, together we worked on that project together. Great. And so doing a bunch of Unreal stuff, and it was cool because they had built their own app in order to visualize what was going on in the ceiling and the LED walls and stuff. And I was like, oh, we got to do something similar to that. So I hit up Winbush and I was like, hey, do you know how to do this? And he's like, no, I have no idea. Hit up Brandon Clements. So I hit up Brandon Clements, and he was able to, basically point me in the right direction and stuff like that. And amazingly, this is the first time this has ever happened. If I didn't know a question, I brought up ChatGPT and I actually asked it questions, and it was able to point me in the right direction. Most of the time, I will say, anytime I'm doing something technical, you put in Houdini questions, it has no idea. It'll just make up nodes, And there were a few things that it kind of like was not sure about, but the biggest thing I've found is being able to like take a screen grab of what I'm working on and be like, what do I need to do here? And then it tells you, because it can actually read the picture and stuff like that. It's like, oh, here's your issue. You don't have this clicked on or this thing, this actor thing. And it's like, you need to do this. And it's like, I did that and it worked, It's pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
That's a sign that there's more documentation for Unreal than there is Houdini.
I agree.
And I will say, like, even for some personal stuff, I used to be okay at expressions in After Effects, and I just haven't used them in a little bit. And then lately, if I have an After Effects expression I need to do for my YouTube channel and make like a little procedural thing, I just go to ChatGPT and be like, help me generate this expression for like making a countdown or something.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like,
tool for that.
I've done the same thing, but it's like having that background, at least in like a little bit of expressions or a little bit of coding or something like that, knowing that little bit, it's like you're able to kind of see where the errors are and know that ahead of time or something like that, or you're able to troubleshoot and diagnose what's wrong in case it does give you the wrong stuff.
Yeah. Knowing the fundamentals is like the key to using those tools, the generative tools, so much easier, because then you can diagnose and reverse engineer the problem if there is a problem.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Have you messed with any AI tools?
Not really. I'm kind of zagging. So everyone has been diving into AI tools, and I'm trying to teach myself how to draw right now.
I love that.
I'm very bad at it,
Man.
But it's one of those things where, like, as soon as you start forcing your brain to think about, like from 3D into 2D and then retranslating that into 3D from a 2D view, you start thinking about art and composition and value in a completely different way. And I do strongly believe, for me, that will enable me to become a better artist, because then I can look at generative art and understand what it's doing and re-art direct it into what I actually need it to be. So that's my opinion.
I love that you're just focusing on drawing and stuff, because I'm a terrible drawer, but I have found, like, if you picked a random person and they say, oh, I can't draw, and us having our background in like art and 3D and modeling especially, it's like, okay, how would I do this in 3D, but how would I make it 2D, And it's like, so it's like, if in comparison to someone who absolutely cannot draw, and me, I'm probably a little bit better drawer than they are, but I'm still terrible, But I think those fundamentals of like art and 3D and modeling and stuff actually help a whole lot.
They 100% do. What makes it worse is that because whatever you draw is bad and where it needs to be, it makes it harder to practice, because it's like I know I could just go into Cinema 4D and set my focal length to 90 and get the perspective that I need. But what's lacking there, I dare say, as an observation, because I'm going through this journey, when you you don't have there's no pencil mileage there. So like
Uh-huh.
drawing a line is just a challenge, and then getting those lines to connect to create that shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets into like learning anatomy and learning like
Perspective and
form and
yeah.
perspective, and a lot of 3D solves those problems for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. 100%. It's like, okay, I need a straight line. All right, I'm going to do a cube. you know?
yeah,
I
exactly,
need a
exactly.
box. I'm going to draw a cube because I know it'll be perfect.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's funny. Are you still doing the ZBrush stuff as well?
I dabble here and
Yeah.
there still. I was going through this little um phase where I was modeling weapons and such. I'm
Yeah,
still
I saw
doing
that. I
that, but
remember that. Yeah.
this whole drawing thing I've been working on as of late has been um a way in which I can hopefully translate some of that pencil mileage I'm getting, because using ZBrush you're also using
Yeah.
a tablet of some sort, get that to translate into ZBrush uh,
Mm.
skills. So like me learning how to draw a bicep means I can then translate like the insertion point of the deltoid into the bicep and vice versa. Because I've done it in 2D, I can hopefully retranslate it in 3D.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sculptural skills that rely on being able to look at form and create that, not only from memory but also create it from reference. And that's something that like 3D artists, we don't really do things like life drawing
Yeah.
or like studies
Mhm.
of stuff. We kind of just like make keyframes, take some privet, not all the time, but we take some object that's given to us and make it move.
Yeah.
Versus in illustration, you have a blank canvas.
Yeah.
In sculpting, you have a blank canvas. So how do you get that blank canvas into something beautiful?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's cool. I love
Are
that.
you still doing zebra stuff?
No, I let my my license lapse on Max on
Okay.
One. I just didn't see a need to keep it.
Okay.
And personal reasons, So
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
unfortunately, which is sad because I really like ZBrush. I really like sculpting, but I
Mhm.
figured it's not like I was really doing it a lot. My hobbies, it may have been sculpting at one point, but now it's just reading. I really enjoy reading.
Yep.
I like
Mhm.
fantasy books. I like getting out of this
Me too.
world. you know.
Yeah. I think it is important to immerse yourself in stories, because at the end of the day, like even though a lot of motion graphics, we make content to help sell things, most people
Yeah.
buy from some sort of emotional experience, and a lot of that emotional experience is them telling some story to themselves,
Yeah.
so like why they may need this, or people get into reading fiction books because they're trying to either escape into this new world or
Hmm.
put themselves in that world.
Yeah.
Uh, and as cliche as it is, I like the word storytelling is where people feel connected
Hmm.
to the world. So
Yeah.
I'm also watching a lot of content on like how to write story, how to consider like a good ending,
Yeah.
understanding stakes within a story, and I think that again, like taking all these little tiny skills that are just so fundamental, and hopefully translate it into making better art, because like while AI is great, it can give you a bunch of content and you don't know why it works.
Yeah.
And I choose to understand why the content works,
Hmm.
so then I can hopefully fix it later.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I like that. I like that. That's cool. Speaking of learning and writing and reading and stuff like that, uh, you wrote a book.
I did
Oh,
write
this
a
is
book.
backwards.
I'm very
Dang it.
oh, it is backwards.
All right, show
Is
me,
it-
show us
maybe
yours. There you
that's
go.
yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. I did write a book.
Yeah.
How to Eat Like a Grown Up. 5 principles for navigating our modern food environment.
How
And
how long have you been working on it? Because
so
I feel like I've heard you talk about writing a book forever.
yeah,
Whether it was this
I'm
one
a
or something else or another thing.
I'm a little embarrassed that it took me this long, but it came out like this nutrition book. Like some of this might be my own self-serving bias of like I pivoted the project,
Hmm.
but I started writing this freelance book in 2022 because I was doing really well as a freelancer at the time, and I kind of wanted to just share some of the things I learned along the way, which is like basics of personal finance, basics of budgeting,
Hmm.
creating a project brief. 2023 rolled around, and was not nearly as successful as the previous 3 years,
Yeah.
because of the dawn of AI and uncertainty and other lifestyle factors that contributed to that. Um, and that freelance project, I still wanted to keep working on it, so I was dabbling here and there, even though freelance business wasn't going super great. And I got to a section where I wanted to talk about how I balance being like maintaining some sort of healthier lifestyle while
Yeah.
being a freelancer, because it's really easy because there are no boundaries with being a freelancer. You have to learn how to set your own, and it's really easy to just not think about your health, how you treat your
Mm-hmm.
body with your food, how often do you exercise, etc. And when I got to that section, um, I realized I had so much more to say, because it was originally going to be like 1 or 2 pages,
Yeah.
and I was like, I feel like I have
Yeah.
more here, and I started that in like I think I looked at the files. I opened up the like first little page in like August of 2023,
Wow.
uh, and over time I just started adding more and more to it, of just like how I approach my nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
coming from a background of like I used to be significantly overweight when I was a teenager and a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
and then and this is all in my book,
Yeah.
experience a period of disordered eating, bulimia. You could also argue there was like a period of anorexia, because I was only eating like Nature Valley bars and
Yeah.
stuff, and it was not sustainable. And then I started learning about macro tracking and like like true calories, like how to read a nutrition label.
Mm-hmm.
And then I fell into powerlifting, and that opened me up to like really treating my nutrition with respect, and understanding like what in our food environment makes it hard for people to stick to diets,
Mm-hmm.
and what are things that I need to do to follow through with the goals I had.
Yeah.
So it's not a book on like how to eat for powerlifters. It's
Yeah.
just like it's an analysis of our food environment,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of breaking down some of the most calorically dense foods that we're surrounded by, and hopefully giving people options when they may not know what the healthy decision might be.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you may hear salad and think healthy, but it could be a 1,700 calorie salad.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go to Cheesecake
Yeah.
Factory,
Right.
and it's dressing with some lettuce.
Yeah. Yeah, so the title of the book is How to Eat Like a Grown Up. Five
Mhm.
principles for navigating our modern food environment. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's on Kindle Unlimited, right?
And yeah, it's on Kindle
Yeah.
Unlimited, and is free on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
And when I was working with my editor, she did help me with the pricing, and she recommended a range of $15 to $20.
Mhm.
And I chose the lowest option because I just wanted to be accessible for people. It's been a multi-year project,
Yeah.
so I did price it. It does cost money.
Yeah, of course.
But the goal is to hopefully save people time, because I've spent a lot of my time reading nutrition textbooks, and trying to understand PubMed articles
Yeah.
and .edu studies on weight loss and nutritional information, and also reading like cookbooks,
Yeah.
like how to cook well without adding the most calorically dense ingredients.
Yeah. How long of a journey was it from like basically I a realization that change needs to happen to where maybe nowadays, or because you've been, as long as I've known you, you've been into weightlifting and health and stuff like that. How long of a journey was that, and how tough was it to realize, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong here, or this, I need to be cutting out this, or hey, all these sauces I'm putting on my, on my chicken is just ramping up the calories and stuff.
Hmm. I'm going to give you the most boring
That's
answer, and
fine.
the journey is not I've not finished it yet.
Right.
There is no, it's this constant like understanding what works for you, and that target is always moving.
Yeah.
So like there's going to be people in life who like have have a partner, have kids. They may not have the right amount of time to do meal prep like they might see some fitness influencers do. So then it leads into choosing options that are convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Like my journey to how long like what triggered me to like really start thinking about my weight loss journey was when my father had a heart attack when
Mm-hmm.
I was 16.
Yeah, you talk about
He was
that early on
48
in the
at the
book.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was this weird moment because it gave me some uh like awareness of mortality,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, huh, what am I doing wrong? But I didn't know how to approach that goal of like, okay, I may need to make some changes so I don't turn out like having a heart attack at a very young
Mm.
age. But I wasn't mature enough to make a decision on balancing like my own food cravings with my desire for longevity. So I
Yeah.
chose keto because it was like it just felt like an excuse to eat bacon and pork
Yep.
chops and cheeseburgers without the bread,
Yeah.
and there was no portion control there. I could just eat however much I want as long as I had no carbs.
Yeah.
So I was making an uninformed decision, and where I that went on for like 3 years, and then when I came off of it, I decided to, or I ended up binging because I just had carbs again.
Yeah. Carbs are
Um,
good.
and carbs are
Yeah.
amazing. And that's why, like, I've even seen some comments on content I made around the book where like, people are saying like humans are live a carnivore diet. I'm like, I mean, you could theoretically argue that. I respectfully disagree, and our modern food environment is not going to cater to that.
Yeah.
Like, you go to any friend barbecue party, and there's going to be pizza or barbecue and chips and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, do we just expect people to eat like caveman
Yeah.
the entire time when everything surrounded by our modern food environment is wheat based, gluten based, potato based? Like there's a lot of starch in
Yeah.
our environment as well. So it's like, how do we balance that? So going off on a little side tangent, it's been a like 15-year journey
Mm-hmm.
to be where I'm at now to really build a better relationship with food, but where I really decided that I needed to have a more sustainable approach to my how I treated my body with food was after my last powerlifting meet in 2024
Mm-hmm.
when I decided to be sober for that period. And I would never drink in excess,
Mm-hmm.
but I chose to be sober as I prepped into that, and it made me feel so good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like people can't have alcohol. I actually talk about this in my book where like having alcohol at special occasions is a great way for people to bond.
Mm-hmm.
Wine has been around for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's a matter of like understanding how much is right for you at any given moment in time,
Yeah.
and not understanding like where your limits are. And that just takes a lot of time to improve.
Yeah. See, that's funny because like as long as I've known you, I've never known you as much of a drinker, you know? So it's like giving up alcohol, it didn't seem like that to me. It wouldn't seem like that would be too hard for you.
You know, whenever we would go to like big parties and
Yeah.
stuff, I typically don't drink,
Yeah.
but whenever I know I don't have to be the DD, I'm sleeping in my own bed, I tend to have a very addictive personality
Okay.
where I would just like, oh yeah, like we're having a game night at home, let's have a bottle of wine or something.
Yeah.
And I realized that was not sustainable for what I really wanted.
Interesting.
But I still try and respect the culture around food
Mm-hmm.
because our entire civilization is built around agriculture
Mm-hmm.
and farming, and like one of my favorite places to go in the world is Napa Valley, California,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just amazing food there. So it's like telling everyone to follow some diet that might theoretically be right for human beings omits a completely other part of life that
Yeah.
does have a lot of joy.
Yeah. And that's something you talk about in your book, where it's like these are not regimented things that you have to do every day. You know, we realize that us as humans have social interactions or places that we go out to eat with friends or, you know, events or something like that where, yeah, you're going to quote unquote cheat or something,
Mhm.
you know, but it's the relationship and the understanding you have with food that helps drive that point across. It's like getting it in your brain first and understanding, hey, this is okay sometimes, just don't eat Twinkies every day.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it comes down to reframing. Like if there's ever a life situation, like a Christmas party is a great example.
Yeah.
There's likely never going to be something that fits everyone's macros entirely. And my vice is ice cream. So absolutely at the Christmas party, I'm going to have a slice of pie with ice cream.
Right.
Um, and it is unrealistic to tell grandma, hey, that your pie doesn't fit my macros, can you make me something
Right.
else? Like if a child ever said that to their mother, like, hey, please go make me something else, I want to, and it's like, no, it's like, please j- eat what is provided to you.
Yeah.
And it's about being respectful of, like, one, the social occasion, but also being respectful of, like, okay, I know that, like, for me to have the best time, it's not just eating a giant pie. It is to connect with my friends and my family. Like that's the actual real important part there.
Yeah.
And food should be an accent, a complement to that experience,
Yeah.
not the only part of the experience.
Yeah. I experienced something similar to that when my wife and I started dating. I was a vegetarian, and I had been a vegetarian like for a really long time, like 12 years or something like that. And luckily, when I started becoming vegetarian, when I started the vegetarian route or whatever, I was like 16 years old. That's why I'm the shortest one in my family, by the way. Because,
interesting.
yeah, because I was a vegetarian and I also smoked. So like I'm probably
Okay.
a good 2 inches shorter than everyone, in my
Okay.
family. Anyway, so I was vegetarian for a really long time, and when my wife and I started dating, we'd go over to her family's for like dinner and stuff, and I just felt like it was too much to ask for a vegetarian option, So it's like I just kind of like gave it up because the social occasion of it, I didn't want to be a jerk about it, and just be like, excuse me, does this have meat in it? I can't eat the meat, but yeah.
And that's hard. And when I was writing my book, I'm actually so grateful that my editor was a vegan, or she practices a vegan diet, and she's like, "Hey, there's nothing in here on a vegan diet." And granted, when you say no beef or pork, so okay, well, this making it a little bit easier
Yeah.
for the vegan, if, like following a vegan lifestyle. But I was omitting a lot of parts of that because I tend to eat more like a bodybuilder or a power lifter. It's a lot
Sure.
of chicken and rice. That's what I prefer
Yeah.
to do. But it's again just understanding, like, what are some of your default food habits, and then like how much, like, when you deviate, how can we frame that as being something that's okay, as long as it's not breaking any ethical issues you might have? Because I know people follow vegan diet or vegetarian diet for ethical
Yeah.
reasons, but if we're talking about strict health is not a black and white term.
Yeah.
You can have someone who may have some slightly worse objective health markers, whatever that may be, according to your doctor. And I'm not a registered dietitian or doctor, so I can't speak on behalf of what those might be. But let's say you have some objective health markers that might be negative, but you also hang out with friends a couple times a week where you feel really happy and part of a community, and you're really creative, and you're not using other habits for coping like doom scrolling. I would argue that person will probably be healthier than someone who has amazingly objective health markers, but they're always working, they're not getting enough sleep, they are not treating their mental health with respect. Health is one of those things that's not just physical, it's emotional too.
Yeah. I would say emotion holds a huge part of your overall health. It's like, you'll I don't know, because like you talk about early on in the book, like your eating or overeating was a form of like cessation or something like that, you know, where,
Coping.
yeah, coping. It was a coping mechanism, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I'm pissed off. I'm going to go eat 20 chicken nuggets or something like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's an emotional thing, you know, like even
Mm-hmm.
I find anytime I make a change in my life, like I've quit smoking, I've quit drinking, you know, I actually 2 months ago, I quit caffeine, you know, actually it might be 3 months
Amazing.
ago. And those are all really hard things to give
Oh
up,
yeah.
especially cold turkey. Man, giving up caffeine cold turkey was very hard. You know, the
Miserable.
first
Yep.
4 days
Can
were
confirm.
terrible. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially because at that time, you know, with smoking, I was 3 packs a day at the end. You know, like smoking
Mm-hmm.
60 cigarettes a day. That's insane. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
then when
Mm-hmm.
I gave up caffeine, it was like I was going through 3 monsters a day or 2 Celsius in a
Mm-hmm.
monster, and it's like that is
Mm-hmm.
not healthy for your heart. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
would get to the point. It would be an emotional thing. I would get to a point where I'd get so angry at myself because this was happening that I'd just stop, you know, and I'd quit cold
Mm-hmm.
turkey, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way that's always the way it has been with me with weight. And I'm not saying this is a healthy thing at all. This is probably very unhealthy. I need to regulate my emotions, but like, especially with weight, I'll get mad at myself for being overweight, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
like feeling miserable after eating a big meal. And then I'll be like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm dieting. And then I'll go on this really long diet and I'll lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds. And then I'll be like, all right, I've hit my weight. And then I'll just balloon right back.
Mm-hmm. You know, it comes off in so many like these self-help books I read. I need to stop reading as much self-help books and just like
You need
focus
more
on
fantasy,
just helping
bro.
myself. I do need more fantasy, but like people don't change until it's more uncomfortable to not change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was something that I didn't realize that my relationship with food was a problem until like it started affecting my relationships with people where like I would go to I literally went to a Christmas dinner. This was like 8 years ago where I brought my own Tupperware,
Yeah.
and I was just like, This is." As when I look back on that, it's like, okay, I acknowledge that that was a period where it was maybe useful for me to understand how deep I needed to go to achieve some of those goals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but um, I was definitely uncomfortable, and it just got to a point where it's like, okay, my relationship with food is affecting how I connect with the people around me.
Yeah.
So um, that was uncomfortable for me. So that's what made me want to change
Yeah.
to build better relationships with people.
Yeah. Do you now, you know, you're in great shape, you know? I've seen you with no shirt on. You look great. You know.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Male
Do
body dysmorphia is a challenge.
I was gonna say, do
But
you
I
still struggle with like, you know, yeah, body dysmorphia or like, you know, regulating emotions and like overeating, or do you, if you eat too much, do you still get mad at yourself or something like that?
Yes and no. It's first off, I will say that some of the best advice I got was actually from
Mm-hmm.
Matthias, where he said that whenever he's feeling down, he almost imagines like he's writing a movie for himself. And in the movie, we always see the hero like choosing to like be the hero of your own movie.
Yeah.
And like how would you imagine the best self,
Mm-hmm.
your best self showing up? And I'll also add that I was reading another book called The Mountain Is You, and it talks about how it's really easy to be proud of your body and proud of yourself when you've contorted your body into exactly the shape you wanted it to be.
Okay.
Um, so it's like, okay, well, is this just a survivorship bias, Jags? Where I love to, how I explain like my I guess physique now, if we're getting into that realm, is I look at it as a performance mindset. So I'm more excited about like my performance as an athlete
Mm-hmm.
and how it allows me to show up for my friends and my family. It's like whenever people ask me to move, I can typically I have a lot of stamina
Yeah.
for that stuff. And that's important to me. Being able to have energy as I get older is the thing that keeps me in the shape that I am, because I love being able to like show up with like a lot of output, I
Yeah.
guess, for me.
Yeah.
So like when I'm on set with the camera, like I don't fatigue
Yeah.
as easily.
Yeah. Especially carrying
So
around all that equipment and stuff like that. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Something funny that Clinton Jones said one time, I think we had him on the show a long time ago, and he's really big into yoga, and we were talking about that, and he said everyone falls down, and a lot of people, as you get older, falls are going to get worse and worse, so a fall will be worse the older you get. And he said the reason he does yoga is because he knows one day he's going to fall, and he wants to make sure that his body is in good enough shape or good enough condition or conditioned well enough to where when he takes that fall, it's not going to be detrimental to his life.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
And the way I train is if that fall happens, I want to be able to pick myself back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pick up multiple parts of me via barbell.
Yeah.
So I can fix that.
How are you handling working out with the new job?
So I did move significantly closer to the office.
Yeah.
And this is actually something I want to either make some content around. I noticed that because I was previously dealing with a 45-minute commute one way, so it's 90 minutes each day.
Yep.
My gym time was cut significantly, and my art time was also cut significantly. And I actually did have lunch with a friend of mine the other day, and he said one of his number one career hacks is keeping his commute under 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that is one of the benefits about work from home, because it gives people that time back. So how am I handling working out with the new job? I've always been a morning person. I'm typically up at like 5:30 in the morning. And whenever everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's so early. You must be so disciplined." I'm also in bed by 9:30.
Yeah.
So
Same.
it's I'm not doing anything special. Most people wake up at like 7:30, 8, but they're also going to bed at like midnight.
Yeah.
As a grown-up. So like I'm still getting a real normal amount of sleep. It's just I'm shifting the hours, so then I have a little bit of my own time in the morning where there's less crowded, there's less traffic, it's not as close to work hours, so I can fit in gym time when it's important to me.
I'm assuming you're more of a morning person than a night owl.
100% a morning person.
See, what's so funny is I used to be a night owl, but it's like getting married, having a job, having kids. It's like I am the most morning person. I wake up at like 5:55 almost every day, like 5 minutes before my alarm goes off, because I'm so used, and I'm wide awake at that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too. It's amazing.
It's okay.
It's a skill that I like waking up early because it gives me a little bit of time to like collect my thoughts before I interact with people. Because like do the basics of like drink water, like so when people wake up, you are your best self.
Yeah, I get that. But do you ever feel like you're missing out on the evenings or the nights or whatever? Like that's the thing that was actually one of the main reasons why I gave up caffeine. Well, other than my eye was twitching like crazy.
Okay.
And I was losing a lot of sleep and stuff like that. So I giving up the caffeine, I found that like when I would get home at like 5 o'clock or something, even though I'm just like sitting at a desk, doing art or whatever, I was exhausted, And this would always happen to me too when I was working from home. I would just be exhausted by 5 o'clock, not wanting to do anything, just wanting to lay in bed and scroll TikTok for 3 hours and then go to bed, And so that was a big motivator for me giving up caffeine. It's like, I want to see if giving that up will keep me more even, and then I'll have a lot more energy at night, which kind of, but not really, I don't know. But I miss that nighttime,
So to answer your question, do I ever experience the fear of missing out on nighttime? You and I have gone to camp, and at camp, I'm normally like one of the first people to go to bed.
Yeah.
But I'm also flying my drone at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And do I feel it? Yeah, I do. But there's been times in which I would bring a game and go to like the quiet part of camp and just hang out with people and play a little card game for a couple hours and stay up until like midnight here and there. I think it's just a matter of understanding what kind of value you are getting from those nighttime experiences because again, I'm not a big drinker.
Yeah.
And I've typically found that's the evening activities that most people are doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's true.
if that's important to you, um, partake.
Yeah.
But
I want more time to read. I actually what I really want is I want more time to work out, you know? That's the hard thing. The healthiest I ever was as an adult, you know, was when I was working out every day, but I was working out at lunch, you know? I
okay.
worked at a job where I wasn't really great friends with everyone. Like we were acquaintances and stuff, but it's not someone that I would go out and like hang out with or something like that, you know? And so it's like I took that time at lunch to go to LA Fitness, work out for half an hour, 45 minutes, come back, eat my lunch at my desk, you know?
Right.
And it was
right.
so easy to be able to do that. But nowadays it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I want that time at night. You know what I'm saying? I want that time at night.
I think you should give yourself a little bit of grace because you do have a family
Yeah.
and kids, and like I come from a very privileged place to say like I don't have a family, I don't have kids, so I'm allowed to do those things more often, and you have way more responsibility than I do. I'm sure that will change in my life at some point, but I hope that like some of the other things in your life bring you more joy, and it's not maybe not at the expense, but like maybe at some point you could have a little bit of both.
Yeah. I'm just worried I'm going to be 60 years old by the time the kids move out, and then I'm going to be I'm not going to want to work out at 60 years old, you know?
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
developing good habits nowadays, you know, like you talk about in your book.
You know, the thing I always get these stupid ideas in my head where as soon as
like pivoting from a freelance, you know, manifesto type book immediately into a weight loss workout
book.
journey.
I probably should have quit this book 2 years ago and focus because I would probably be a much better motion designer, but I had so much more to say. And my number one thing is I finish things. I don't often finish them well, and I often don't finish them quickly, but I finish them through brute force. And to market my book, and I made a YouTube video on my YouTube channel called "100 Habits to Be a Grown Up" or something like that. And it's literally like I literally filmed like a vlog of my entire day of every single stupid habit I do to like maintain my lifestyle currently. So it's like wake up, drink water, go exercise, but only 2 days in a row. If you've exercised 2 days in a row, go do something lighter like journal or go on a walk instead.
Interesting.
And I'll send you the video if you're down.
Yeah. So how often do you work out though? You said 2 days in a row?
I work out, so I do 4 to 5 days a week.
Okay.
So my goal is, so I do kind of have a program, but the general principle is work out hard at least every other day. If you can do 2 days in a row, awesome. But every 2 workout days, you must take a rest day.
Define hard. Like what's a hard workout for you?
So for me, and we're gonna get into some like powerlifting stuff, where I'll take the last set of like my squats or like a heavy compound movement to very close to failure. So like 1 rep in reserve, sometimes 0 reps in reserve, where it's just like, okay, that sucked. My body literally could not have done anymore. And then I do a couple other exercises where it's pretty much close to failure, and for like arms or lunges or split squats. So I'm pretty dead after lower body days. Upper body days, I still have a little bit of energy, and then I'll follow that up with like a 30-minute walk on the treadmill at like a 12-inch incline with 3 miles per hour. So it's not like hard, but
it's still a 12-inch incline.
Yeah. And then every 4 or 5 days, I'll do like a 2 to 4 mile run, sometimes 5. And that's at like a sub 8-minute pace lately. So it's
That's good.
The fastest I've ever run. And typically my squat sessions, I'm pushing lately like I'll do a top set single at like 315, and then I'll do reps with like 225. So on my last powerlifting meet, I did 385. So it's
Wow.
like significantly less, but I'm just trying to be healthy right now.
Yeah. Are you more of a like? Do you do a lot of aerobic exercises or cardio? You know, because
Lately, yeah.
weightlifting and stuff like that, it's all anaerobic. You know, it's like
Mhm.
anytime Amy and I would work out together, because she's much more cardio and I am very much about like lifting weights and stuff like that. She'd be like, "You're not doing anything," because I basically go to failure and then stop
Mhm.
and take a break for a minute. And she's like, "Why are you stopping? You got to keep going." It's like, no, this anaerobic exercise, you got to burn off all the, the acids in your body and stuff like that, you know?
Mhm. Do I do aerobic stuff where it's just like cardio? That's kind of like the 12-inch incline cardio
Mm-hmm.
that I do. That's like the slower steady state cardio. And my hack for that is I'll put my iPad up on the treadmill and I'll watch ZBrush tutorials or Blender tutorials or something. But my anaerobic stuff, like my runs where I go pretty fast, it is I'm drenched in
I
sweat
bet.
afterwards. Or I've done a couple bike rides over the last year where I'm doing like 20 miles per hour for 30 minutes straight, and it's just grueling. Um,
Did you see the comment?
but what's
Says
going on?
John be doing neck lifts as we speak with these giant headphones.
Yeah. Right. I wish my neck was more jacked. I need heavier headphones.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Um, I did want to ask you a question
Yeah.
regarding my book.
Yeah.
Of the five principles that are there, which
Oh
one
man.
is the
So
the
go ahead. Yeah.
most challenging
We
for you?
haven't talked about the five principles yet. So
Oh, yeah,
we
we
haven't
haven't.
mentioned them, and strap in because y'all are gonna be like, "What? No, I'm out." You know,
Okay.
that was my first initial impression. But okay, so the five things. Do you want to say them, or you want me to?
I'll let you say
Okay,
them.
five things: no beef or pork. Number two, no dairy. Number three, no sauce. Number four, don't drink your calories, and number five, don't eat like a child.
Yep,
I
there you go.
had two nutty bars today.
Okay.
So that was at least two of them, that I
Okay,
did not do.
amazing.
Yeah. I
Which one is the hardest for you
uh,
on average?
I don't know. Probably the thing is like no dairy. I love cheese. Like
Hmm.
I could get rid of milk. Whatever. Who cares about milk? I don't need milk. You know.
Hmm.
And that one's easy for me. Or that one I just like cheese.
Hmm.
No sauces. It depends, man. Like, you have a good barbecue, like, or a dry barbecue, you need a good sauce. But also, I
Hmm.
find when I'm working out or dieting, I'll go to Chick-fil-A, I'll get one of the grilled sandwiches, but I'll cover
Hmm.
it in the honey roasted barbecue,
Hmm.
because it's only like, it adds maybe an extra 60, 120 calories, but it makes
Hmm.
it just exponentially better,
Oh yeah,
and it's
100%.
much less caloric than having a deep fried Chick-fil-A sandwich covered in butter,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
That one,
Hmm.
don't drink your calories. That's probably a hard one because I really like smoothies,
Okay.
but I don't drink full sugar sodas anymore. Even like, well, I probably do more now, but back when I was, drinking caffeine, it was always either Diet Coke or, Mountain Dew Zero or White Monster, and stuff like that. It
Hmm.
was never a calorie drink, but I do
Hmm.
love a good smoothie, and those things are like five
Okay.
six hundred calories right there. The hardest one is probably don't eat like a child. Now that I realize it, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I eat.
That's fair.
I
That's
I
fair.
was not raised with good eating habits, and I hate myself because I have passed on those bad eating habits to my kids. It's like we just always have junk food. We always have junk food. Look, that's a bag of candy from Christmas. You know,
Okay.
I don't have good eating habits. And I eat like a child a lot.
I will admit I do too. So at lunch today we had um Greek food, and I had some beef. So I break the beef or pork roll.
Yeah.
Broke it today,
Yeah.
and then immediately after, I was like, oh, hey, there's a Kit Kat on the counter. I had a Kit
Yeah.
Kat, sort of thing. So it's important to break the rules and be flexible. It's just knowing how much is um enough.
That's yes.
And
Yes. When you're dieting,
and
especially, it's like, oh, I can have one Kit Kat, and it's like, I had a Kit Kat yesterday. I could have one more Kit Kat today, and it's like, actually, during my another time in which I was working out, I made it a point. I was counting my calories. I was using my Fitness Pal, like you said. Don't just download my Fitness Pal, whatever. I was I was counting all my calories, and I made sure every day I had an extra 250 calories so that I could have a Twix bar every day.
Okay. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can do that. Like it whatever works for your system and your goals. Like I had those principles in there to be inflammatory because I want it to be a moment of reflection of like, hold on, wait a second. Like, what is our relationship to these foods? Like why does it make us feel like we can't have them? Because we should be able to. And understanding the context in which they're appropriate is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like completely rewiring your brain in order to think a different way, and that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest
100%.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my book is like I try and break it down from an empirical point of view, like how many calories are there in a steak? How many calories are there in a chicken breast? There's going to be significantly less calories there in all forms of chicken, even with the skin, than there is going to be in a ribeye steak.
Yeah.
Like every single time. But like obviously we shouldn't eat the chicken skin every single time as well. So like there's the empirical aspect of my book where we're talking about like nutrition labels, and macros, but then there's also parts from the fitness industry that I think can be useful, such as like there's this whole fad called intuitive eating, and intuitive eating is like being able to like get in tune with your hunger signals. And while it's useful if you've ever grown up in a home where healthier foods weren't readily available, and being health conscious was not a really something that people considered, trying to get in tune with your hunger signals when you've never been in tune with your hunger signals before, that's a hard ask. So rather than thinking about of like, oh, just try and feel your fullness, I'm like, hold on, just like look at your own behaviors for a second. Like just take a deep breath and just like stop eating for a second and just say like, hey, like I've had 3 candy bars. Is this just me trying to feel good, or is this actually helping me? So and that's something I've had to go through, like through my binge eating journey.
Yeah,
So,
that I don't know if you've experienced the constant walk back to the fridge and opening the fridge and then shutting it and then walking back to the fridge and opening it. That's hard. And it's like, I often think, am I just thirsty? Is that what this is?
That's another thing in my book in chapter 5 where it's like, okay, are you just actually dehydrated? Because a lot of people do forget to drink water.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question for you. Is Diet Coke water?
Yes, Diet Coke is inherently hydrating.
It
does hydrate.
I knew it.
Yeah. In the same, like coffee can be hydrating. It does have a mild diuretic effect.
Yeah.
Based on the content I have come across. But like drinking water is typically like the better option if your goal is to hydrate.
Yeah.
But if you have a choice between hydrating with a Diet Coke and not hydrating, I'd rather you have the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Unless you've also had 7 other sodas today, even if they're diet, because there's about 35 milligrams in a diet soda. So
of caffeine?
What is that? 200 milligrams of caffeine in a Diet Coke. So if you have 8 of those, that's what, 280 milligrams of caffeine through straight soda.
Yeah, but which is like Alani and Celsius. Those are 200 milligrams of caffeine each one.
Yeah, that's
Monster is 160.
Yeah.
So
I do love caffeine,
Yeah.
but it's also understanding how much is enough.
Right. It's all in moderation and rewiring your brain to realize the good moderation and the bad moderation. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I don't choose to moderate, it's at things that are important to me. So like my birthday, I'll absolutely go to Korean barbecue and have all you can eat. or Christmas, I will absolutely have a slice of pie, maybe two.
Yeah.
But if I do have leftovers the next day, it's like, okay, we're gonna share a piece of pie
Yeah.
with a partner or something instead of having one for myself.
Yeah. Is that kind of like a vacation? Looking forward to that? At one point I was dieting, and I gave myself one cheat day every week. Like I would stick under like 1,500 calories every day, and then on Saturday I would binge. I'd do like 10,000 calories. I always felt like crap on Monday. But yeah, but I did end up losing weight because of it.
So I think when that pattern happens, it's a sign that what you're doing is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So if I've now set myself up for holidays where I don't save calories for Christmas dinner anymore. I typically have I might have like a slightly lighter breakfast and a couple snacks instead of stuff at lunch. But I used to go into like a Christmas dinner not having eaten all day.
Interesting.
So of course I'm gonna binge. And so with the mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna have a cheat day on Saturdays, that just means that the other 6 days of the week we're not choosing foods that make us feel good about ourselves from like a food enjoyment standpoint, but also from like a physiological, we're too hungry too often.
Yeah.
So then we feel like we need to binge. And I'd rather have people have slower weight loss, and this is something I've had to go through. I'd rather have slower weight loss for me now. By the end of it, I don't feel like I need to make up for lost time.
Yeah. That makes sense. And it's one of those things where it's like it's like an investment in yourself. Where it's like, okay, I'm going to cut out Twix bars every day, or I'm going to cut out this one thing that I'm doing every day. I will cut out candy, and maybe I'll lose like 1/4 pound a week. But over the course of 6 months, that's going to add up a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like you could also reframe that Twix bar. If the Twix bar is really important to you, did you know that they make fun-sized Twix bars?
Yeah, I
like
do.
yay big
But
as well. So
I want the double sized.
and if that's important to you, then you can have the double
Yeah.
size. But I live in the realm of substitutions where it's like,
my
okay,
God.
what is something that you have? Like, I love having ice cream, and I have ice cream once, maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
But I still like having a dessert snack most nights. So a lot of the time, I'm having like some of those Greek yogurt Oikos cups with some fruit
Yeah.
or some Cheerios on top, and it's like that satisfies my craving just enough.
Yeah.
To get me to the next ice cream versus if I don't have any of that, I feel like I'm gonna have a giant sundae when I will
Yeah.
want more ice cream.
Yeah,
next
that
time.
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Jags, where can people find your book?
You can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
Look up How to Eat Like a Grown Up, and you can support my book there. I also am casually working on an Instagram page called Grown Upping is Hard.
I like that.
And I will
Yeah.
start posting basically recipe videos and such to that. Or you can find me on my Instagram at Jon Jags Nee.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to see you. When am I going to see you next? Are you going to any events this year?
I might try to go to NAB.
Okay,
That
I
depends
won't be
on
there.
current work. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm skipping
are you going to
NAB this
RenderCon?
year. I am going to RenderCon. Yeah.
Okay, I'm local to RenderCon, so I'm gonna try and go to that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
let's-
it's 2
let's-
days this year, so you should be able.
Oh,
to,
fantastic.
Yeah, you should be able to hit one of
Okay.
those days. That'll be fun.
Is it on a weekend or a weekday?
I think it's Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try and make it Friday.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah. I think we're gonna go to RenderCon, and then I think the family's gonna fly into LA, and then we're gonna go to Disneyland for a couple days.
Of course
course
you
we
are.
are.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. If you guys go to Disneyland, maybe we could sync up for dinner at Downtown Disney.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Make sure to follow us on all the socials, especially YouTube and Twitch. We've been doing our MoGraph Hangouts. We're continuing on. This week is super exciting. We've got the team from Notch. I don't know if you've messed with Notch or anything, but it's a really cool 3D application. We've got them showing off. We've been talking to them about some really cool stuff. So that's going to be our live stream on Thursday. Our live stream Thursday is actually going to be at like around 5, a little bit earlier this week because the gentleman from Notch is actually in Europe, so he's going to be staying up very late. So yeah, and then speaking of Notch, next week we've got Matt, the CEO of Notch, coming on the show to talk more about it and the history with Notch and all that other stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're having a notch of a week. Yeah, that was so lame. Anyway,
Good job.
So yeah, make sure if you want to be up on all the comings and goings of all the live streams and stuff like that, sign up for our newsletter. You can find that at mograph.com. And also, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to sign up for your very own mograph.com account. It's a one-stop shop for everything a motion designer needs. You can showcase your demo reel, projects you've worked on, post jobs, apply for jobs, sell your digital goods, find meetup groups, or start one of your own, and so much more is planned. We are very excited. We almost have over 1,100 members, and we are growing every day. We're an artist-first site where your work will always be yours and never fed to the AI machines, and no algorithms or ads. We don't have ads or algorithms. Unless some of the people that you follow. I've seen a few people on there who are advertising like... Anyway, it's a bot. I think I have a bot. Anyway, yeah, sign up for your very own mograph.com account. You can find that at mograph.com. Jags, thank you again for being on the show. It was super great having you. It's so good to see you. So I'm excited to see you in real life. Is it this? This? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm old, so I do it this way. Yeah, you youngins, I don't. Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, until next time, I am Matt, and you are Jags.
I'm Jags.
Later, yo.
Pretty good, I guess.